If you're anything like me, the thought of slaving away in the kitchen for hours after a hectic day is a little less than appealing. But what if I told you that I've got a little something to make your weekday anti-inflammatory eating a breeze? Introducing my free checklist, the must-have kitchen staples for effortless anti-inflammatory dinners. This is your ticket to stress-free weekday dinners and consistent success in the kitchen. Imagine not having to deal with last-minute grocery store runs or staring at your pantry in exhaustion. Imagine coming home from a demanding day, effortlessly whipping up an anti-inflammatory meal, and still having time to unwind, relax, and catch up on your favorite shows. All you have to do is head over to betterwithcarbo.com/checklist and claim your free copy of this invaluable resource. Let this checklist be your guide to transform your kitchen into a haven of effortless anti-inflammatory cooking and well-balanced meals. Get ready for a life where weekday anti-inflammatory eating is not just easier, but it's downright delightful. Your journey to a healthier, more vibrant you starts right now. I'm Krissy Carbo, registered dietitian and host of the Inflamed in the Brain podcast. Here we cut through the confusion and complexity of inflammatory health to deliver straightforward, bite-sized strategies and information you can easily apply to your life. Not too long ago, I was lost in a sea of information, overwhelmed by the challenges of inflammation. But through years of trial, education, and self-discovery, I learned to break free from the chaos of fad diets and cultivate a practical anti-inflammatory lifestyle that not only helped me stabilize my own diagnosis, but thrive with it. Whether you're an autoimmune warrior or simply seeking a healthier, uncomplicated life, you found your tribe. Join me as we explore realistic strategies that can make a profound difference in your life. So if you're ready to embrace a simpler, healthier way of living, you're in the right place, my friend. Let's dive in, learn, and grow together. Welcome to the Inflamed in the Brain podcast. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Inflamed in the Brain podcast. I'm Krissy, your host, and I'm so happy that you're here with me today because I'm going to let you in on a little secret. But first, I want to start off by asking you a question. How do you currently feel about eating out at restaurants or even plating your own food at home? I know that when I first got started making the shift into a more anti-inflammatory diet, I felt super limited by my options, especially when it came to eating out at restaurants. I couldn't eat at this restaurant because there weren't enough of these particular foods. And then I felt like I couldn't eat at that restaurant because there was too much of this one other food. Even at home, I felt like I was really limited because I was focused on staying away from, quote, bad foods and then trying to get more of the, quote, good foods. I was convinced that if I slipped up and ate something wrong, it would send my body into an inflammatory frenzy and make my conditions and symptoms worse. I remember that if we were to go to a restaurant and my husband wanted me to try his food that maybe had gluten in it or something like that, if later on at night I felt like my leg was a little tingly, I would think, oh my God, I have a flare because I took a bite out of your sandwich. This is all my fault. I should have known a lot better to take a bite out of a sandwich that had gluten in it. When it was really, I've been sitting with my legs crossed for about an hour and my leg fell asleep. It wasn't until I was making what felt like my millionth salmon and salad lunch that I thought to myself, I really need to do something different. There has to be a different approach, a better way to creating anti-inflammatory meals because I am going to go insane if I see another salmon fillet. I kept thinking to myself that there had to be a better way to eat foods that were nourishing, but that I can still look forward to what's on my plate. I wanted to still be social at restaurants, but I also wanted to feel confident that I wasn't destroying my health. Enter balanced meals. If you're multitasking, I want you to come back to me because what I'm about to say is really important. Balanced meals are the key to making any meal more anti-inflammatory. Instead of looking at that one singular food and labeling it as good, as bad, and banning the bad foods and eating too much of the good foods over and over again to a point where you want to throw your plate out the freaking window, look at that one food that you actually really want to eat and think to yourself, what else can I add to this one particular food to balance it out and make it more anti-inflammatory? In today's episode, I'm going to go into what makes a balanced meal, how thinking of food as being pieces to a puzzle can help you in creating a balanced anti-inflammatory plate in any situation. And I'll give you a few tips on how to use this balanced plate idea to create quick and easy anti-inflammatory meals throughout any season of life. Now, let's kick things off with that first puzzle piece that you need in order to complete the puzzle that is your anti-inflammatory plate. I'm talking about carbohydrates. Now, I know carbs have a bad rap for a few reasons, but here's the thing. They are not the enemy. In fact, we need carbs for a lot of reasons, including energy, fiber, antioxidants, and yes, even happiness. Carbohydrates are found in tons of foods: fruits, veggies, packaged goods, dairy, some grains, and that's just naming a few. These foods vary in their carb content, meaning that some of these foods are higher in carbs than others, and depending on their fiber content, that can offset the carb load even more. When you eat carbs, your body breaks them down into their simplest forms, sugar. This naturally leads to a rise in your blood sugar, prompting the release of insulin to help your cells absorb that sugar and convert it into energy. Now, here's where things go haywire. If your blood sugar is consistently spiking too high for an extended period of time, we're talking about daily occurrences here that build up on one another, that's when issues like diabetes and inflammation can start to creep in. To avoid these problems, you want to steer clear of what I call naked carbohydrates, which is just eating carbs by themselves. Instead, the key is to pair your carbohydrates with our next two puzzle pieces, protein and fat. Now let's talk about fat, our second puzzle piece. Historically, fat has gotten a lot of bad press, with folks believing that it would lead to weight gain and heart problems. Being a kid growing up in the 90s, I particularly remember the low-fat craze, and even now you can still find food packages promoting its low-fat content. But guess what? We've learned a lot since then, and that information is dead wrong. Fat serves multiple crucial roles in our body. It provides us with energy, it boosts our immune system, it plays a vital part in hormone production and balance. And here's a surprising fact. Our brains are mostly made up of fat. Can you imagine the havoc a low-fat diet might wreak on the brain? But it doesn't end there. Fat is also really important for absorption of certain vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. If you skimp out on fat or follow an overly low-fat diet, you can be putting yourself at risk for deficiencies in these important nutrients. Now, the tidbit to remember is that not all fats are created equal. Some can be more pro-inflammatory than others. That is why it's crucial to make sure you're including anti-inflammatory fats on your plate, like chia seeds, hemp seeds, avocado, coconut, olives, and that's just naming a few. When it comes to fat, it's not about following a low-fat diet. It's about being fat savvy. It's all about making smart choices when it comes to fat. Now on to our third puzzle piece, protein. Think of protein as the building blocks of all cells and tissues in your body, because that's what it is. When we eat protein, our body works hard to break it down into amino acids for absorption. Some of these amino acids are known to have amazing anti-inflammatory properties. Some of the stars being glutamine, tryptophan, and glycine. But here's a really important thing I want you to remember. You don't need to get too caught up in the nitty-gritty details of amino acids. Questions like, what specific amino acids should I be eating? Or which protein sources contain the most anti-inflammatory amino acids can sometimes lead to unnecessary stress and overwhelm. Instead, I recommend focusing more on the quality of your protein source. If you can, aim for high-quality protein options. You can look out for labels like grass-fed, pasture-raised, organic, or wild-caught. If this isn't an option for you, that's perfectly okay. Conventionally raised proteins are still nutritious and contain those beneficial amino acids that we talked about. Remember, we're talking about creating balance here, a whole picture approach. By pairing the protein with the rest of our 5 puzzle pieces, you're already on the path to success. Fiber is our fourth puzzle piece. Foods rich in fiber play a vital role in supporting the growth of beneficial gut bacteria. Remember that inflammation is an immune response, and a significant portion of your immune system lives in your gut. So when your gut bacteria are thriving and happy, you're likely to experience less inflammation. Fiber also keeps us satisfied for longer. So if you ever find yourself fighting cravings or feeling hungry right after a meal, consider upping your fiber intake. All right, so far we have carbs, fat, protein, and fiber. Our very last puzzle piece here to complete your anti-inflammatory plate is color. When I say color, I'm talking about vibrant colors that you find in fruits and veggies. In case you didn't know, Fruits and veggies are like nature's nutrient-packed gift to us because they are loaded with essential micronutrients that our body needs to function properly. They are packed with antioxidants and phytonutrients that are the body's defenders, helping keep inflammation in check and assisting in repairing any kind of damage to your cells and tissues caused by inflammation. So, by incorporating a diverse selection of fruits and vegetables into your daily meals, you're accomplishing two important things here. First, you're regularly exposing yourself to essential antioxidants and nutrients crucial for your well being. Second, you're adding a variety of flavors and textures to your plate, enhancing both nutritional value of your meal, but the diverse textures and colors keep things from getting really boring. Okay, so now that you know the secret to making any meal more anti-inflammatory is to be sure to have these 5 puzzle pieces on your plate. And just to recap, I'm talking about carbs, fat, protein, fiber, and color. Let's dig into how these guys actually team up to form the Avengers of anti-inflammatory eating. When these 5 pieces come together, a few things happen. First and foremost, your meals begin to keep your blood sugar levels steady. This isn't just a benefit for people dealing with diabetes. This is a win for anyone dealing with autoimmunity or inflammatory challenges. Even if you're dealing with fatigue, gut issues, or never-ending hunger pangs, supporting your blood sugar is a must. In addition to that, this type of meal lays down the perfect foundation for your body to expertly break down and soak up those essential nutrients. To explain further what I mean, let's say, for example, you have a kale salad. You're getting in a lot of vitamin K from that kale salad. But if you were to pair that kale salad with, let's say, avocado or chicken with the skin on, the fat from the chicken or the avocado will actually help you absorb that vitamin K a whole lot better than just eating that kale by itself. So all of these food groups from carbs, fat, protein, fiber, color, they all come together to work synergistically to help your body absorb all of those essential nutrients to the best of its abilities. Let's also not forget that some fibers serve as prebiotics, which also keeps those healthy gut bacteria populations thriving. And remember, if your gut is happy, so is your immune system. Now let's go beyond the science here. Sure, your blood sugar is going to be happy, nutrient absorption is going to be great, and supporting your gut is awesome. A well-rounded meal gives you the freedom from overwhelm and anxiety. You'll quickly discover how effortlessly these elements can slide into your everyday eating routine so that you don't have to eat the same foods every single day, unless you want to. But what I mean here is you can also eat with confidence in any situation. If you're dining out at a restaurant that doesn't serve that one particular superfood, no sweat. You'll feel confident knowing that you're still fighting inflammation by picking a dish with these 5 elements. And I can almost guarantee that you can find a carb, fat, protein, colorful piece of food, and fiber at any restaurant that you go to. You'll also start to uncover clever hacks and tricks here and there where you can turn your all-time favorite foods into anti-inflammatory champions. Let's say you're craving just good old boxed mac and cheese. Cool. You've got the carb component. Now let's think about tossing in some protein, some healthy fats, a splash of color with a little bit of fiber. And before you know it, your simple mac and cheese has just transformed into this wholesome anti-inflammatory plate. And let's keep in mind here that a lot of these things overlap. Sticking to the boxed mac and cheese example, you got your mac and cheese, which is the carb. Let's say you add some chicken, some rotisserie chicken, you're chopping it up, putting it in there. You've got the protein. Some colorful vegetable, maybe broccoli, can also serve as your fiber. Your healthy fat could be the cheese if you want it to be, or you can even top it off with a little bit of hemp seeds for a little extra fatty component. Now, talking about practical tips for implementing balanced meals, you know your girl is all about keeping things easy and practical. If you heard me say it once, I'll say it 1,000 more times. Practicality and easefulness is the key here for long-term success. And I promise you, crafting a meal with each of these components isn't as hard as it may seem. Some of these components, like I said, overlap. For example, some vegetables are super high in fiber and have tons of color. They can also serve as your carb source. One piece of advice that I want to give you here is to always have a quick cook protein, carb, and fat option in your pantry and fridge ready to use. When I say quick cook, I mean things that can be cooked in like 10 minutes or less. Foods like shrimp, chicken, ground beef, baby greens, zucchini, salad greens, rice, pastas. These foods take little time and little effort to assemble and are guaranteed to help you assemble an anti-inflammatory meal in no time. And after a long day at work, dealing with kids, running errands, you don't have time to be slaving away in the kitchen for hours. So I really want to make this easy for you and point to a free resource that I created with just you in mind. It is my free kitchen staples checklist for effortless anti-inflammatory meals. Not only does this checklist give you a list of quick cook proteins, carbs, and fat, but the layout of the checklist makes it real easy for you to map out what pieces you need to put on your plate to make it complete. It also talks about using the convenience of frozen and pre-cooked foods and a few tips for expediting the cooking time, like chopping your veggies into smaller pieces. I use foods within this checklist all the time to get meals in under 20 minutes, so I highly recommend grabbing your free copy at betterwithcarbo.com/checklist. And I also will post this link in the show notes. So grab your copy, make your life easier. It is totally free. You've got nothing to lose. So there you have it. The secret to making any meal more anti-inflammatory: balance. I continue to emphasize finding balance because I don't want you to spend anywhere near as much time as I did consumed by food-related fear and overanalyzing every single food. Remember, it's not about that single food and whether it's good or bad. It's about looking at that food item as a piece to a puzzle and wondering what other pieces can go with that food to complete the puzzle that is your plate. The more you dive into it, the smoother it gets because you'll discover some nifty overlaps here and there and even score some 2-for-1 deals, meaning, for example, broccoli being colorful and fibrous. There are carbs out there that bring fiber and a splash of color. There are fats that deliver quality protein, and there are proteins like dairy that also pack carbohydrates too. And before I go, I want to leave you with this. Crafting meals with these 5 puzzle pieces won't just make your life easier, but it is the easiest entry point into the world of anti-inflammatory eating. It is your ticket for long-term success because it will seamlessly fit into your everyday life. It will liberate you from the overwhelming anxiety of what can I eat and what can I not eat? Will this food help me or will it make me worse? Thinking of your meals in this way will allow you to get a jumpstart on your self-healing journey so that you can embrace some semblance of normalcy. Meet up with your friends for dinner, whip up a quick meal, and grab a quick bite on the way home. You've got yourself covered. And don't forget, to make things easier for you, you can grab your copy of the free checklist for quick and easy anti-inflammatory meals at betterwithcarbo.com/checklist. That is all I have for you today, my friend. I really invite you to start looking at your plate as a puzzle and be curious and experiment and have fun with how you can add these 5 puzzle pieces to complete that puzzle. Send me a message on Instagram. I want to hear from you and I want to hear how this goes for you. If you found this episode helpful, please let me know, write a review here, and share it with a friend who also needs this anti-inflammatory goodness. And don't forget, check out the show notes for my links to my freebies, including that checklist to make your anti-inflammatory meals even easier. Until next time, guys, same time, same place.